Oh, hey there! I have a little bit of free time today, and I've been working on redecorating and kind of reorganizing my room. And as I was doing it, I was thinking about the math that was involved in this project, particularly how I was using perimeter, area, and volume to do this work, and I wanted to tell you about it. So by the end of this video, hopefully you know how we can use perimeter, area, and volume to measure. So let's start with perimeter. I got this whiteboard left over from another teacher who didn't want it, and it's kind of plain. I noticed that it has this black border around it, but I really like bright colors and lots of busy things, so I wanted to add a new border around the outside. And in order to figure out how much of this bulletin board border that I needed to measure the perimeter. The perimeter is the distance around the outside of a shape. So I got out my meter stick, and I'm going to measure it real quick. All right, so I found out that the top is 23 inches long and the side is 17 inches tall. And then because it's a rectangle, I know that the bottom would be the same as the top. So this one is 23 inches and this one is 17 inches, the same as the side. So if I added up all of those lengths, that is the perimeter, or the distance around the outside of my bulletin board that I'll need to do it. So I'm going to take care of it now. You can watch me and we'll see at the end how we'll see the perimeter of this whiteboard. All right, there we go. I have covered the perimeter of this bulletin board in my cool border now. I like it a lot better. So when you think about perimeter, think about the distance around the outside of something. So the next thing I was doing to redecorate my room made me think of area. Area is the space that is covered by something, or how much space is being covered. And I was thinking about this table. It's kind of an ugly brown color, and I was thinking that I could put a tablecloth on it to kind of brighten things up, but I needed to think about how much space it took to, or how much it would take to cover this particular table. When we measure perimeter, that was a one-dimensional measurement. We're measuring in inches or centimeters or feet. When we measure area, we measure how many square units it takes to cover up something, and that is a two-dimensional unit because it has length and width. So let me show you what I mean. I could measure this table in how many square centimeters it takes to cover the table. That would be really, really small. The square centimeters are really, really small. Can you see it? But it would take lots of them to cover the table. Well, I could also measure in square inches. Here's a square inch, and I could see how many of these squares it takes to cover up the whole table. But that, again, would be a really big number because square inches are pretty small. I could also measure the area of this table in square feet. This is a square that is 1 foot by 1 foot. So it's a two-dimensional measurement, and I could see how many of these it would take to fill up the whole table, or to cover the whole table, and that would tell me the area of the surface of the table. So I got two covers. I have this piece of fabric, and then I have this big tablecloth. We're gonna see if the area of either one of these is big enough to fill up, to cover this whole table. Let's check it out. All right, so let's try the one that I think probably has a smaller area first. And it covers it in this direction, but right here, it does not cover it all the way. So the area of this piece of fabric is too small for my table. The area of this is smaller than the whole table. So let's try this big one that I have. All right, I think this is great. The area of this tablecloth is bigger than the area of the surface of my table. It covers even further than it needs to, and so this tells me that this one will probably work. All right, so remember, when you are measuring area, we're thinking about how many square units it takes to cover a surface. Let's talk about a third way that we can measure space, and that is volume. Perimeter was a one-dimensional measurement, area was a two-dimensional measurement, and volume is a three-dimensional measurement. When we are interested in the volume of something, we are thinking about how many cubic units or cubes can fit inside a shape. So where this is playing into my redecorating of my office is that I have lots of things to organize. You can kind of see behind me all this stuff. And I need to think about the size or how much my different containers can hold when I choose them to put stuff into. So I have 3 different containers here, and this one definitely has the biggest volume. It could hold the most cubic units like this. This one probably has the smallest volume, or could hold the smallest amount of stuff. I'd have to, test it out and measure it. And then this one, you can see probably has the middle volume. I've actually already started filling in this to one way to measure it is to fill it in with cubic units, and I'm filling it in here with cubic centimeters. That means that the cube is a centimeter on every single length. It's a centimeter tall, a centimeter across, and a centimeter back going this way. I could have measured it in cubic inches. This block right here is an inch on each side, so it would take less of these to fill this cube up, but either way, whatever I decide to measure in, that's going to give me the volume of the container. So now that we've heard about how perimeter is the distance around, and area is how many square units it takes to cover a surface, and volume is how many cubic units it takes to fill a container, why don't we look around the school and see if we can see some other examples of perimeter, area, and volume? Come with me. Hey, I found one. Here's a bulletin board in our hallway of celebrating Black excellence in math, and when the person created this, they needed to measure the perimeter of the bulletin board, that's the distance around, to see if they had enough ribbon to go all the way around. Cool, we found a perimeter. Hey, Miss Boss, how are ya?
Good, how are you?
Good, I'm so excited I stopped in here because we have an example of area right here on your floor. Check out these tiles, y'all. They are 1 square foot. It's 1 foot this way, that's 12 inches, and 1 foot that way. And so her floor is covered in these 1 foot tiles. That's pretty cool. We have area right here in your room. We counted how many there were, or we did a little measuring. What did we find out? There were
189.
189. So the area of Miss Boss' floor in this little part right here is 189 square feet. Because we're measuring in that 2-dimensional unit. Thanks for letting me find this example.
You're welcome.
I found an example of volume. Check out all these boxes that have been delivered to the office. This box has a small volume. It has a short height and width and length, and it couldn't hold very many cubic units. But this box right here has a great big volume. It is pretty tall, but it's especially long and wide, and so it could hold a lot of cubic units or cubes. So this one has a much bigger volume than this one. How cool we were able to find an example of perimeter and area and volume in our school. I hope now you'll look around your house and see if you can point out examples of perimeter, area, and volume as well. See ya!